everybody. Happy Saturday and welcome to the NBA Hardwood on Run Pure Sports. I'm Eric Crane. I'm joined by Glock. I'm joined by Kurt. We're rooting on Michigan, and I'm going to tell you guys a funny little story. So before the show, where they're having me produce today, right? So when this show inevitably drops, I'm just saying blame the people that are having me produce. Don't blame me. Blame other people. I'm perfectly fine with that. And one of the things that I get to do by producing is I get to run shit, right? And one of the things I get to run is I am signed into the YouTube chat under Run Pure Sports. And that was all fine and fun and dandy until I got on before the show and I said, FTCU. And meanwhile, there it is, Run Pure Sports DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports Books, Daily Fantasy Sports Pick says FTCU. And Glock, you were muted, my friend, but I know you want to laugh because, you know, wasn't my best start to the show.
Oh, I mean, it makes sense. Look at the beanie you have on, rooting on Michigan. I mean, I'm from Texas, so maybe I should root on TCU, but I don't really have much skin in the game. Just want to see a good game, I guess. And I guess I'll just side with whoever you guys are on. But, yeah, I mean, it was hilarious. Starting off the producing strong, hit the transitions, everything other than the FTCU comment. We're off to a good start. So, yeah.
Yeah. Kurt, are you rooting for Michigan with me, buddy?
I'm neutral. I don't really care. I just want to see a good game. So I guess this is the kind of start that I would want. You know,
I mean, look, 14-0 is not a good game. That is not a good start. That is not what we were rooting for in the Michigan era.
Well, seeing as how where the line was and everything, I think this means that we will end up having a good game. I don't think they're dead. I mean, they're not dead.
Oh, they're definitely not dead. That offense is explosive. But yeah, guys, Happy New Year, everybody. This is our
Happy New Year.
One more. I think we have one more show at Run Pure Sports before the end of the year. It's my first year over at RPS. It's been a lot of fun. I look forward to doing more shows with you guys next year. But let's go ahead and get kicked off because Glock, I know you did the playbook today. We've got a lot going on in the NBA, and we're still waiting on a lot of news.
Yeah, absolutely a ton. I mean, we'll try to break it down to the best as we possibly can. But, yeah, I mean, I think ever since the Christmas slate, the schedule's been kind of jam-packed. We haven't had, like, you know, a 2 or 3 game slate, and all the games have been kind of condensed. So, yeah, we have a pretty big slate today, 8 games, and, you know, a lot of injury news that we're still waiting on. Key stuff, too, like James Harden is questionable. Philadelphia is only favored by 3 going into OKC, which, you know, as indicated by the spread, you can kind of assume someone's sitting there at least, most likely. You've got Anthony Edwards got a midday Q tag downgrade. Rudy Gobert's obviously Q. Kyle Anderson. And then you have, you know, some Cleveland guys that are also questionable. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Cedi Osman, which some people may not think is a big deal. But I think it could impact the slate value-wise. And then the last important Q tag, I think, is Jalen Brunson. He's questionable. We're obviously familiar with that situation if he misses. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of news to keep your eye on and, you know, definitely a lot of news that can change, you know, what you're seeing right now if you run an optimizer.
Yeah, and Kurt, this is one of those slates where, look, it's 4:51 over there on the East Coast. We're going to talk about this slate, but you have to keep an open mind today. This is one of those slates where you definitely want to be hanging out in the Run Pure Sports Discord, figuring out exactly who's going to be in, who's going to be out, and what that means when it comes to building your lineup. So, Kurt, this is not one of those nights where you can just say, well, I'm going to set my lineup at 5 o'clock, go out for New Year's, have a good old time. No. You're going to want to be paying attention today.
Yeah, for sure. I think if you're playing the slate, you want it to be chaotic as possible because there's a lot of people who are going to play the slate that aren't going to be attached to the news. So be a freaking Gruden grinder, baby. Want the chaos. Welcome it. Let's get all these motherfuckers rolled out, and let's just plug all these other guys in, and everyone else will just sit on their ass and not do anything. So if you're playing
they're trying to go out for New Year's, Kurt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, if I was in the NBA,
you at 11 o'clock, bro.
Dude, if they scheduled a game for like 9 o'clock on New Year's Eve, I would not be happy. Like, I might have a little knee soreness too.
But there'll still be people like at the parties, like driving to the parties. They're gonna miss news. So there's an edge.
Look. If you guys are gonna be grinding news, this is a great night to play because there are gonna be a lot of people out there who, as you said, are gonna be going to bars, they're gonna be going to the party, they're gonna be doing whatever you young whippersnappers do on New Year's Eve. Whereas I am playing Jackbox games with some friends tonight. So I'll tell you what, it doesn't get much cooler than that.
Here's the other thing, like. You probably will get bitched at by your significant other, but when you show her that winning screenshot, hey, baby, everything's clear. You can buy her a Gucci bag or whatever the hell women buy. I don't know. She's going to be all right when she sees those winners. So that's what we're looking forward to doing today.
Yeah, definitely have some winners tonight. You can either win with us or watch us win. That's what we say over at Run Pure Sports, and that's what we're going to be doing tonight. So let's go ahead and get it kicked off. Let's talk about our first game. 8 games on the slate tonight. We're going to be talking about them. We got the Knicks at the Rockets. It's a 222.5-point total. The Knicks 4-point favorites. And, right off the bat, Glock, we're still waiting on Jalen Brunson news. If he misses, that's going to open up some value. If he plays, I think he's a little bit of a value at 7-3. What are you doing with this Knicks team right now? Because we don't have the news yet, but I suspect it's coming soon.
Yeah, I think we'll get the news before lock, which is nice. But yeah, Jalen Brunson Q-tag. Obviously, if he misses, Emmanuel quickly almost becomes like a lock and load play. They haven't priced him up accordingly at all. And Mr. Randall, he's finally above 10K. He's been kind of like hovering above, like the high 8Ks to 9Ks, and he's just been performing really, really well. So his price tag is just elevated. He's had 50 or more fantasy points in 5 games straight, with the last 2 being over 60 fantasy points. And you have to remember the Knicks are without RJ Barrett already. So just losing another guy in Jalen Brunson, that would, increase his usage for sure. So Julius Randle has to be in play. Emmanuel quickly is probably in play even with Brunson in. As he probably start for RJ Barrett, but that's something to keep an eye for. Like I said, I just think quickly just becomes a smash play if Brunson's out again against this Rockets team that doesn't play much defense at all. So, definitely love the Knicks side here. And then, if Brunson misses, Miles McBride, he started last game, and, he's a low usage guy, but, if he can just stand in the corner, bang down a few threes, get you that 20 fantasy points, I'm cool with it on a slate where, right now we have a lot of Detroit chalk being like your number one value option. So definitely love the Knicks side here for sure.
Yeah, so Kurt, it's uncomfortable to click 10-1 Julius Randle. Like, that's not something that I like to do. Is that something you're going to be finding yourself doing tonight? Because you got Luka, you got some other expensive options. I mean, there is a lot of value on this slate, but still 10-1 for Julius Randle, man, that's a tough ask.
So I think if Brunson's out, and we do get some of this other even more value, I don't mind clicking 10-1 for him. I don't mind also running it back with a 5-7 Emmanuel quickly, to be honest. And that's if we end up getting a lot of value where 10-1 Randall is not a big deal at all. And then also obviously Brunson's out too. I don't mind it. It's not as gross as you would think.
Well, one of the teams that is gross, it's the Houston Rockets. The only guy they're going to be missing is Jason Tate. And I don't know, Kurt, I'll just kick it off with you, man, because there's not a lot to like here with the Rockets as far as I'm concerned. Am I missing something?
I don't mind Barry Smith for GPPs. I know we got Gordon's back and that kind of digs into a little bit of his usage, but I don't know, it's 4-9. If you do have that scenario where we are playing the 2 Knicks, you do want to run back Jalen Green, Barry Smith, it's fine to do that with.
Glock, anything for you on the Rocket side?
Yeah, I'm with Kurt here. I wouldn't definitely force a run back from the Rocket side for sure, but you look at Jabari Smith, it's only 4.9K. Been a 5K price player for a majority of the year. And the last 2 games they've played, they've been blown out by Dallas and Boston. So his minutes have kind of got cut short. And the 2 games before that were competitive, he dropped 45.5 fantasy points and 34 fantasy points. So you would definitely take that for sure as a run back to, a Julius Randle or Emmanuel quickly if playing one of them. Forward eligibility and center. So that's nice. I think if the news doesn't break at all, I feel like Jabari Smith is probably going to be a pretty strong unowned value mid-tier play that you can consider today. And then, like Kurt said, KPJ, Jalen Green, they can always be considered for tournaments, but I'm not going to prioritize them in any way. Maybe if I land on them like a last spot in, I'm cool with it because I think this game should play pretty up-tempo. But I'm not going to force anything and go crazy with it for sure.
All right, let's talk Cleveland and Chicago. It's a 224-point total. The Cleveland Cavaliers, I always said the Cleveland Browns. I'm still in football mode. They are 2.5-point favorites on the road over the Bulls here. And, of course, with Cleveland, look, this is another team where we are waiting on a lot of news. Darius Garland, he's questionable. Evan Mobley, he's questionable. And if one of those guys miss, all of a sudden, Cedi Osman also questionable. Guys like Jared Allen, Kevin Love, Donovan Mitchell. Glock, it opens up a lot here on this Cleveland side to like. If they miss, we should get news soon. What are kind of the options that you're looking at with these players?
Yeah, I think of tonight's slate, I think these questionable tags are the guys that I am least concerned about. I think they have more of a shot to play. But obviously, if they do miss, Garland missing obviously would be a huge boost to Donovan Mitchell. He would assume a lot of the ball handling and usage from the offensive standpoint. If Evan Mobley missed, it'd be a boost for, a guy like Jarrett Allen. Kevin Love would get more minutes most likely and more usage. And then, I think Seti is probably the guy that is most likely to miss of the three. And he did miss last game, and you saw Karis LeVert come off the bench and just smash. So if Seti Osman misses, you could put in Karis LeVert as a value play. Kevin Love also gets a boost if Seti Osman misses because they just have less depth. And then, like I said, we just got to wait on the news. We're going to have this news before lock, so we don't have to sweat too much. And then, on the Bulls side, man, they're just not someone that I love to mess with anytime that, the big three are in with DeMar DeRozan, Vucevic, and Levine. It'll probably be like a last-in type of situation for me, like Houston. Like if I land perfectly and DeMar DeRozan fits perfectly, I'll play him. Don't love it for sure. Same goes with Vucevic and Levine. I'm more focused on the Cleveland side based on the news, less on the Chicago side.
Yeah, the Chicago side is one that I'm largely ignoring. Obviously, Zach LaVine coming off the big game, but I don't know. I just can't get excited. I can't get excited about? That's that Michigan interception. It's Michigan football down 14-3. I can get pumped about that. Kurt, with this Cleveland situation, is there some merit if Darius Garland and Evan Mobley are in to playing these guys?
Ooh, no, I think in that case it becomes a cross-off. What I really would like is I think Garland plays, but let's say him and Osman set. Man, Karis is going to be in a lot of my lineups. So, but I do think Garland plays. But let's just say if not, I'll just say that'll be my takeaway from this game is Karis LeVert almost a near lock.
There's a lock for a touchdown for Michigan. Guys, New Year's Eve is a great sports day. You get the football going. We got basketball tonight. That's right.
There was some good college basketball too. Kansas, Oklahoma State. Mwah. Oof,
yeah, you want to know what I found out I can do since they were letting me produce? I can click this little button and I can see Hammer 74 says TD Blue. I can do that. Oh, I love this. I love the power, baby. I love having the power.
Who scored?
Wilson.
Oh, God. What the fuck is a Wilson, dog? Like, can I not get Mullings in there? Like, give me a Mulling. Give me that linebacker touchdown. Come on.
I've got good news for you, buddy. We're going to be seeing a lot of scores in this game. You're not done at all. So you just take your time. There's going to be – this game might be played in the 80s. Like, this is just going to be –
baby.
This game's going to be bonkers. All right. Dallas at San Antonio. Not a lot of injury news here. Luka, he's probable. And obviously, one of the first decision points you have to make on this slate is Luka, 12-1. The guy is, it's like when we were playing James Harden a few years ago, Russell Westbrook before that. He's on the slate. You play him. He is averaging, he's coming off 81 in his last game and 110 in his game before that. So 12-1. I don't know, Kurt, you got some balls of steel if you're fading this guy. I don't think I'm going to be fading him. Are you going to be fading Luka?
Yeah, no, it's just, take the floor points and get the value we're going to have tonight and just plug him right in, baby. As far as the other side goes, Keldon Johnson, 7-3. I can definitely get down with that. No one on Dallas I'm interested in. Total 5-7 if you're maxing or something. You never know. It could his explosion could happen at any time. But oh man, this might be the first time Shoshan's not been chalk in a while, right? That's nice. But that's all I got for this one. Short and sweet, baby.
All right, and obviously Devin Vassell, he was doubtful. Somebody in the chat said that he's listed as out now. And without Vassell in there, let's open up some usage in Glock. I don't think anybody's going to be playing these Spurs guys. I don't expect 7-3 Kelvin Johnson to be owned at all, but
oh wow,
I don't like him in tournaments tonight, and you just hope you get that back and forth with Luka.
Yeah, for sure. I think Luka will definitely be a popular option, especially based on what kind of value opens up for us. I think when I was running the optimizer earlier, it was more of a mid-tier build, and that was because we had no value. But with all the Q tags available to us today, you'd have to think something becomes available. So yeah, obviously, if something opens up, Luka definitely top of the list. The man is literally rolling right now. The absence of Maxi Kleber, Dorian Finney-Smith, Josh Green, guys that actually play in the rotation for them, they're out. So Luka is played the entire second half almost of the last 2 out of the 3 games. He played the entire third quarter of last game and then played a few minutes into the fourth of the Houston blowout just to secure the win. So yeah, if this is a close game, the minutes ceiling is sky high. Dallas is in a stretch where they're playing really bad teams and they're in the thick of the Western Conference race. So they need these wins against bad teams for sure. So yeah, Luka Doncic definitely at the top of the list. Christian Wood, I think now that he's a solidified starter, you can definitely consider him in tournaments. He was in foul trouble last game and still put up 40 fantasy points in what? It was like 20 minutes of play or maybe even less. So love those two from the Dallas side. And then, yeah, like you mentioned, Devin Vassell's out. So last game, Romeo Langford stepped into the starting lineup, played really well. I think he dropped, 33 fantasy points, 33.75 in 28 minutes. He's only 3.4K shooting guard eligible. I don't mind him. Obviously, there's always a risk in rostering, a non-main Spur like Keldon Johnson, Trey Jones, because Pop can just be so erratic with his rotations. But I don't mind. If we don't have any other value, I don't mind Romeo Langford at all. He's been pretty solid as a starter, 33 points last night, like I mentioned, or last start. And then I think he started another game and dropped 30 fantasy points as well in like the high 20s in minutes. So definitely like him. And then, Keldon Johnson, don't mind him as a run back either. It's just I prefer Keldon when he's kind of like in the high 6K ranges because he hasn't been shooting the ball that good this year. And, for someone who's so shot dependent, you got Jacob Poeltl down there grabbing the rebounds. I want my price just a little bit lower just to feel comfortable with him. But, you can't help but running it back for sure. Dallas is missing a lot of their key defenders as well. So this one could be very up and down as well.
Kurt, who was it that you needed in the Michigan game?
I don't want to talk about it, bro. I'm going to puke.
Because he got the ball at the 1.
Yeah, he ain't going back in, dog.
Yeah.
He fumbled or what?
They called the guy down at the 1. Next play, they didn't even get the handoff off, and they fumbled.
I mean, that's on him. That was on the running back. That's not on JJ.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Mullings gets put. He probably won't get put back in the game.
Oh, he ain't getting back in the game. Are you kidding me? No. There's not a chance he's getting back.
1% owned on the FanDuel 2 gamer, bro. 5K. 1% owned.
Oh,
for a guy who's going to probably get, who could have, if he didn't fumble, probably get 2 1-yard. That's so stupid. I mean, that's just how. That's how I run, baby.
Yep. Hey, you know what? New year, new you, baby. You're going to be moving. It's going to be fine.
What's funny is he was on the DK pool, so this is good for my Stokes shares on DK. So it's like,
Here, hold on. See, I can
perfect balance.
I can do this. Chellis B says Kurt is about to cry. We'll just put that on the screen. I love having the power.
While Glock was talking, I was trying to keep my cool, but I was like, oh my God, he's not going back in the game.
I figured. I saw you over there just stewing. You're just like, I don't give a damn about Keldon Johnson right now. Keldon, I can see.
I saw Kurt like this.
Yeah.
Oh God.
All right, let's talk.
Finish my point before.
Yeah. Let's talk Brooklyn at Charlotte. 237.5 point total. The Nets 6.5 point favorites on the road. And I mean, right here, we've got Kyrie Irving at 8-6. You got Kevin Durant at 10-4. I mean, you get a lot of guys here on Brooklyn. Not a lot of guys. You get 2 guys that are definitely in play. Nick Claxton. We've been targeting Charlotte with bigs all year. He's 6'1". Kurt, this Brooklyn side, what are you doing here?
This kind of feels like a good game to get away from the other spin ups, or maybe if you do fade Doncic, just go the studs in this game and just hope it just goes absolutely nutty. One curious thing is Mark Williams has looked good. Now, yeah. I am worried that it's going to be like the hot hand with him and Richardson every night. It's going to switch off okay, we'll go to Richardson this night, Mark Williams this night. There's another team that does that. It's not coming to my mind right now, but that's going to be super tilt because Mark Williams is a fantasy point monster this year. But let's say we don't get as much value as we think going on to the day. I probably will have a Mark Williams share. I'm just throwing 20 max tonight. But I probably will throw him in there, especially on a little game stack of this game, because I think there's a chance it could just be the nut game. But as far as mid-tier, like you said, Claxton, bigs against Charlotte, I'm down with that. Uber being out, we don't really know who's been getting the minutes, but sometimes it's Washington, sometimes it's McDaniels. It's they're just, God, this rotate. We don't know what, usually most of these teams, this guy's out, okay, we automatically know, boom, slide this guy in. Charlotte's just shit, man, they don't even know what the hell is going on with this. So it's kind of hard to play that game with the Charlotte team. So I would just be doing what I said before, maybe getting some Mark Williams shares, doing some stacks for the expensive guys, and not too much in the mid-range besides some Claxton shares.
Yeah, I don't mind Mark Williams at all. I've seen a few spots mention him today. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets steamed up a little bit. Glock, Are you on Mark Williams or on these Brooklyn pieces? Anything else interest you here?
Yeah, I think the game before last game, I was on Mark Williams. There was no value on the slate, and I just tried to jam in studs, so I played him. And then
when Richardson got rolled back in.
So that was the game before.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I had that. Okay.
And so the game where Richards was in, there was that coach speak about, Mark Williams is our center too. Like, he's our backup center, even despite Richards' availability. And, it's Steve Clifford. I'm kind of like, I doubted it. So then I got off of him, and then obviously he smashed off the bench. So it's good to see that he actually stuck with his coach speak. Who knows if it'll hold true tonight. But, yeah, I mean, 3.5K off the bench. Brooklyn has been suspect, against the big man for a while now. So I don't mind him at all. And then, on the opposite side, Brooklyn, obviously, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, those guys are always in play as contrarian pivots, like you said, to Luka. I just wish we had more value, which we don't right now, to like kind of get a little contrarian game stack of this game, because
it's coming.
Like you said, Kurt, like this game can really be up and down, has the highest total on the slate. And then there is one thing that's for sure on Charlotte, and that's LaMelo Ball. Like, if he doesn't get in foul trouble, he's going to play 35 plus. He's even playing in blowouts. So it's all about the development for this kid. And I think Charlotte knows that. So he's obviously like my number one option on Charlotte if I had the salary to spend up for him. Looks to be under 10% owned right now. And then, if we have the salary, love running it back with, Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving, Nicholas Claxton, bigs for Charlotte. He should play all the minutes that he can handle tonight. Love that as well. So if we can get into this game, I would love to. It's just, based on the news for sure.
Another thing is,
go ahead.
TJ Warren will be in my game stacks, and probably just the game stacks only for me. Don't love the price, just a game piece.
I was just about to ask you guys, because Bill B in the chat, he was asking about TJ Warren, so I wanted to check with you guys.
I wanted to touch on that because, I feel like TJ Warren's definitely a lot better in the blowout script, but last game you saw it 26 minutes, only shot 5 times, 1 for 5, 9.5 fantasy points. He could definitely be a flop lag candidate right here and have a strong bounce back performance. But I do think I like him more in like a blowout script, but looks like he's getting, a solid 25, 27 minutes regardless right now. I think he's perfectly fine.
All right, let's move on to our next game. We got the Pelicans at the Grizzlies, 236.5 point total. Memphis 6-point favorites at home. And obviously you can have Ja Morant at low ownership tonight. You can have Zion at low ownership tonight. No Brandon Ingram for New Orleans. We saw CJ McCollum coming off the big game in his last game. So, Glock, I'm going to throw it right back to you, man. What do we think about this game? Because you can get a couple of the absolute superstars of the NBA at very low ownership.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Like, this one should be a very, very fun one to watch from a viewership standpoint. Both teams are top of the West, and they're healthy. So, from that aspect, I don't know how much interest I'll have from a DFS perspective. Like you mentioned, Crane, you can always argue for someone like Zion, right, or Ja Morant as a spend-up. Let's say you're considering Luka Doncic, and then you pivot from Luka to Ja. Like, that's perfectly viable. Won't fault you there for sure. But, from a DFS perspective, this spot is more like a one-off situation for me. It's really hard to focus, in on specific guys on each team, especially when they're all so healthy. Just look at the Memphis side. You got Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., Steven Adams, Dylan Brooks chucks the ball. Like, they all take away from each other. And then you go on the opposite side, New Orleans Pelicans. Jonas Valanciunas, you got Zion Williamson, CJ McCollum. All these guys just take away from each other so much. And so it's really hard for me to really love this game, from a DFS perspective. But I'll be grabbing my popcorn for this one for sure and watching it with Western Conference implications in mind.
Yeah, I will say that sometimes when these stars get together, they like to go at each other. So, see, I can switch it right there. I can do all kinds of stuff. I could put Kurt there. I can put Glock there.
Drop a like for producer Crane. This guy's just killing it today.
I'm trying, man. Hey, you know what? They gave me options, and I'm taking the options. We're just trying not to screw it up. As long as the stream's still going, we are doing just fine. But, Kurt, I'm not stopping until one of you guys tell me I can just play Ja and Zion in the same lineup and hope that they both go at each other trying for the MVP.
So that's what I was going to actually mention. I was going to say this could be one of those nights where if you're doing 20 max or 150, well, obviously it naturally happens in the 150, but 20 max, you just do a bunch of different game stacks for these games with these stars. Because sorry, I got distracted. But for the most part, besides that, I maybe one off or maybe nothing really much at all because I want to focus on the other spots. I will say this: if we don't get the value we want, I'll take a shot on Dyson Daniels, the rookie, 3.1, decent minutes, usually around 20. Don't think it changes too much. Nance doesn't affect him much. Murphy probably will if he's rolled out. That'd be nice. But just that for me. Steven Adams, 5.3, last piece. I don't hate it.
Steven Adams might have 17 fouls. Like him and Jaren Jackson might combine for 30 fouls somehow tonight. We're throwing out the foul out rules.
It's going all to Jackson.
Yeah, I mean that's possible that it probably will. That's true. All right, let's talk Detroit at Minnesota. 233-point total. Minnesota, they are 5-point favorites at home, and obviously we're still waiting on news here because for Detroit, we've got no Killian Hayes after he just beat the shit out of Mo Wagner. Cade Cunningham is also out, and on the Minnesota Timberwolves side, we're still waiting on Rudy Gobert news. Karl Anthony Towns, he's out. Jordan McLaughlin out, and I just want to say, Glock, I don't think it matters. Like Naz Reid is a great play whether Rudy Gobert is in or out. I'm going to be playing him regardless. Are you going to be playing him regardless?
Yeah, I mean, just based on the value that we have tonight, like he's also projected to come with some ownership, even with Rudy Gobert in. So you can almost double the projected 30 to 35% if Rudy Gobert is out. So yeah, love Naz Reid. The dude kind of had like a subpar game for his performances last night. Was kind of in some foul trouble. But yeah, the guy is just a crusher when it comes to fantasy points per minute. You know, when he's in there, definitely want to keep an eye out on the Rudy Gobert news for sure though, because he would just be like 100% lock in all my 150 lineups on FanDuel, especially if Rudy Gobert's out. So yeah, definitely love Naz Reid. And then I think one thing you forgot to mention was Anthony Edwards also got a midday downgrade. Yep. To Q. So obviously, if he was to miss, D'Angelo Russell, a guy I hate to click on, and I don't think I've clicked on him much all year. Obviously, he would be probably the alpha of the offense. So
who else would it be? He would have to get all the work.
Yeah, and then Jalen Noel, I don't know if they would start him, but he'd be off the bench and also carrying a huge load offensively. So those three would be my favorites, obviously, if the Gobert misses and Anthony Edwards, D'Lo, Naz Reid, Jalen Noel. I'm sure these guys will come with heavy ownership as well anyways. Jaden McDaniels is pretty interesting as a contrarian option to those three if those guys were to miss. And then, I think on the Detroit side, you mentioned the Killian Hayes, Haymaker, Mo Wagner from behind.
The Hayesmaker? Is that what I heard? The Hayesmaker? Come on, let's go.
That's good.
22, we're going out with a bang.
So, I mean, obviously, like right now, it's crazy. If you look at the Detroit side, Sadiq Bey projected 40% owned, Jaden Ivey 30% owned, Alec Burks 30% owned. And Alec Burks, he is he's a flamethrower off the bench. But one thing to keep in mind, he only played 22 minutes last night off the bench, while Casey kind of stuck with his starters, which was Sadiq Bey, Jaden Ivey, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Jalen Duren, and Isaiah Stewart. Those guys all played around 30 minutes, and then they kind of balanced it out with their bench guys. So that's something to keep in mind. And, Sadiq Bey, I have this conversation all the time with people. He's like my worst enemy when he's chalk. I just don't like him at all.
You have the Sadiq Bey whisperer right here, brother.
I mean,
I know. Yeah, I'm curious to hear what Kurt has to say, but I'm going to try to avoid the Detroit side if I can. If I see lineups that have 3 Detroit guys, I may consider bumping it down to max 1, max 2, in order to get different. Just because if Detroit chalk beats me, it beats me. That's just a mentality I'm going to have for the rest of the year, and I always will have because Detroit is just the clown fiesta. So curious to hear what Kurt has to say about it for sure, since he is the Sadiq Bey whisperer.
Well, I didn't know there was such a thing as a Sadiq Bey whisperer, and I'm including Sadiq Bey in that. But Kurt, go ahead, man.
I'm pretty sure I've had him every time he's had these. Every 50-point game he's had in his career, I've been overweight on him. The other night,
that's what,
once.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's been 2 or 3 times. Bucko, okay. I'm a Sadiq Bey fan club president. The other night, I think I had 18 of 25 when he went for 50. It was awesome. Someone screwed me that night, but it was still a very profitable night. I'm just waiting on this Jaden Ivey nuke game. I've been talking about it for weeks. It's not happened. It's probably going to be freaking Corey Joseph, the fucking corpse of Corey Joseph, the corpse. Why is he still in the league? Get. But sorry,
you get the big picture if you're going to lose your mind about Corey Joseph.
Yes.
Bro, or it'll be Diallo. At least Diallo's not. I mean, he sucks, but at least he's not dusty like freaking Joseph. I can't even look at your face. But I'm gonna go probably heavy on Jaden Ivey here. I will be doing at least 3 pieces from this game if Anthony Edwards is rolled out. That's my rule, at least 3. I don't know how you feel about that, Glock. But
from Minnesota, maybe 1 from Detroit.
that's fine. Yeah, 2, 1,
yeah.
But who's else I want? Who I missed one.
I mean,
person.
you were.
Stewart.
I still haven't heard your Sadiq Bey answer.
Stewart.
I still haven't heard your Sadiq Bey answer.
I'm not going to be as high as I was, but I will have a sprinkle of them. I'm not going to full
That's
fade
not
him.
an answer. That's
I'm not
straddling the fence.
You're going to have a sprinkle of him when he's likely the highest owned player in the slate?
Again?
Yeah. What I'm looking at, he's high. He's the highest owned player.
He's 4K. His floor is like 5X. Yeah, he's going to be chalky.
I mean, I knew he'd be chalky, but I knew he'd be the highest owned player on the slate.
Him and Naz Reid, man.
Well, I know Naz, but okay, I'll go underweight. My final answer. Underweight on the most.
All right, underweight.
I gotta X him out then. If the Sadiq Bey whisperer is telling me he's going underweight,
bro, the Jaden Ivey game is coming, dog. The Jaden Ivey freaking game is coming. A couple of the assists will be on Bay threes, but let's just hope for.
I do agree the Jaden Ivey game is coming. So, I mean, Glock, it sounds like with this game you're going to have, anywhere from 2 to 4 pieces on most of your teams.
Yeah, I mean, the difficult part is we have 1, 2, 3, 4 games locking right at lock. And obviously, I think the big news to watch out for that set of games is the Jalen Brunson Q tag. If he's out, I think you can, wait around a little bit longer because I don't know when exactly we're going to get the Minnesota-Detroit news. It might be 1 minute after lock. I feel like that's how it always ends up. But having that flexibility to include guys like D'Lo, Jalen Noel, Naz Reid, and then running it back with a Detroit piece. It's definitely something I'm going to consider. And then another point you have to think of, like Luka, he locks right at lock as well. So that's $12K of your salary, right locked in, right when, the slate locks. Yeah. So that's something to keep in mind as well, because that'll somewhat hamper your flexibility. Like I always say though, have a plan, right? Have a plan of your lineup. Like, okay, if Naz Reid is in and Rudy Gobert's out, how's my lineup going to look? If Rudy Gobert is in, do I still want to play Naz Reid? How am I going to pivot around that? So that's just something to keep in mind for sure.
All right, let's move on to our next game. It's Philadelphia at Oklahoma City.
Well, wait, can I mention Bagley? I'm sorry, but if we get the
big picture, okay, now you can.
If we get news that like he's off that minutes restriction, like Bagley at 4-3, man. If the coach comes out and is like, yeah, he's good to go. The sickness is fine. Like he feels good. 4-3. Maybe that's what you do if Gobert's ruled in. You're like, oh, God, I'm panicking. Let's go 4-3 Marvin Bagley. If we get that news that he's all clear. I'm sorry. Continue, Crane.
I'm still playing Naz if that's the case. And I'll tell you, it might be a bad night for the state of Michigan because TCU is about to score again. And it's just ugly. It's 14-3 right now. TCU is about to score again. I'm going to get off air and throw the hat. Like, if this is not fun. This isn't good. All right, Philadelphia, Oklahoma City, 225-point total. Philadelphia, 3.5-point favorites. And some news that we're probably not going to get before this slate locks is James Harden. He's currently questionable. Kurt, if Harden is in, are you playing him? If he misses, what pieces are you looking at?
I actually don't have interest. If Harden's out, like, yeah, I'll have like 1 or 2 shares of my 20, but like, I don't know. I kind of just want Harden to play so they can just dominate them and just be on with it because I don't really love this game, to be honest. But if Harden's out, obviously, guys, we got to look at Milton, I like all these guys, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there, obviously, in the Discord. Maxi's out.
Yeah, I mean,
spread's
Maxi
3.
is out. Okay.
The spread is 3. I mean,
that's so stupid.
I think you guys have touched on this before in previous shows. Like, I mean, I think that indicates someone's sitting, right? Like, there's no way Philly's only favored by 3 with both Harden and Embiid, right? What do you guys think?
I don't know. I think that Max Dugan should go back to crying on the sidelines instead of throwing touchdown passes. That's
freaking Tay Barber. God dang.
Golly, that was just he almost got sacked too. Like Dugan almost took like a 15-yard loss and instead threw a dart. Anyways, I don't even remember the question. Kurt, go ahead. Maybe you remember the question.
Oh, well, Gawk was just saying, I mean, the 3-point spread probably means Harden is going to set. Maxi's out. You're going to love these guards. Embiid's going to have a 79% usage rate. So
I mean, and Embiid can't get owned. Like, if everybody's going to be playing Luka, and everybody should be playing Luka.
I'm not really an Embiid guy. Is that crazy? I'm not an Embiid guy. Are you, Gawk?
No, that's fine. But I mean,
against OKC, I am an Embiid.
Yeah.
Against
God, I'm just saying that, like, is there a way, Glock? I mean, I haven't built a lineup yet. Is there a way to get Luka and Embiid in the same lineup?
My placeholder has Luka and Randall, so I don't know. It might be a little stretch trying to get up to Embiid, but man, like, that's a huge decision point on today's slate because if you lock into Luka early, and then let's say 1 minute after lock, you get Harden's out. Harden is going to project, like he already projects really well against the OKC front court anyways. Like they literally have no one in the front court to defend him.
No.
And
you don't think Jalen Williams and
it's going to be so bad.
It's going to be bad.
It's
And he's
gonna
not
be so
projected
bad.
for much ownership. So like Embiid is a really sick tournament play today, in my opinion. After lock, I'm definitely going to see if I can fit Luka and Embiid 100%.
Yeah. You got to play Sadiq Bey at that point. Like you just need that.
You don't have to.
Like you just keep. I mean, good luck finding the value without a 4K guy who's going to go for 25. Like, and then
I might flip that game on just to see like how the hell OKC defends him.
They're just going to cry. They're going to do what I'm doing about the Michigan game. They're just going to sit there and bitch while they can't do anything about it. That's just how it's going to work.
He's playing football. Out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and this is going to be a really quick segment, but anybody from the Oklahoma City team you guys like, Kurt?
I'm hoping we get better values so we don't have to consider some of these guys.
I'm not touching this OKC game. No, this OKC team. I'm not.
Yeah, like the bigs, like the cheap bigs are going to foul like crazy. Nah, pass.
Yep. Anything for you, Glock?
Yeah, I mean, don't think you have to force run back. Obviously, SGA, contrarian point guard pivot to Luka, John Morant. But yeah, I think one thing that's I think Kurt kind of touched on it, but you'll have some value if Harden sits, right? Shake Milton, 3.7.
Yeah, 3,700.
Point guard only. He'll fit nicely in those Luka and Embiid builds. So yeah, maybe that's what you kind of build for and then plan for, and then obviously if Harden's in, then you're gonna have a lot of salary to move around onto, and get off of a guy like Embiid. But yeah, I mean, Embiid's a great play regardless. He's already projecting really well. He's just going to project even more monstrously if Harden's out. So just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, Kid Lighton says Shea, if anybody, and I don't. This isn't a Shea slate for me. Like I just don't see a way I can pay over 10K when we have so many better options. Are either of you guys interested in Shea?
I mean, he's okay. He's a contrarian pivot spend up option for sure. He's not going to come with any ownership. Let's say you're fading Luka and you're playing Embiid. If you want to do like an SGA Embiid team that looks good and projects well with nice value, definitely can't hate it at all. And you'd have to think like, as Vegas indicates, 3 spread, it's a closer game that Vegas thinks. So SGA has to be at the top of the helmet for OKC if they're keeping it close, and then same with Embiid on the Philly side. So don't hate it for sure.
Yeah, Derek in the chat, he says that Luka and Embiid not too hard to build with Bay, Reed, and Milton. Just know that if you play Luka and Embiid, everybody who plays the Luka and Embiid combination is going to have that exact team. So you better hit the nuts because that's the only way.
At the top, maybe.
Little 3v3s from that.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be I would look for one other way to get different. There's 5 guys for you right now. We don't give more than that because, well, we can't. So, yeah, I don't hate that start, though. And then we're going to end this game. By the way, I know I've just completely forgotten to say it. I'm trying to produce. I'm doing all this other stuff. I'm clicking the buttons. I'm making us look as pretty as we possibly can. Click the like button. We appreciate it over here at Run Pure Sports. It helps us out, helps us help you. And do that, and we appreciate it. Click that like button. Let's talk Miami and Utah because we are contractually obligated to. 225-point total. Utah 4.5-point favorites. No Jimmy Butler for tonight for Miami, which immediately, where does your mind automatically go? Oh, well, I could play Tyler Hero. Kurt, Tyler Hero is 9.1K.
Yeah, and then I'm not liking that range with Lowry either.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that I was going to have somebody here that I could play. Bam Adebayo, 8.9K. I mean, I guess if he's your last piece in, but it's tough to imagine a scenario where Bam Adebayo at 9.8, you have I have 9.8 left over for salary. I have other guys I'm trying to spend on tonight, so I don't see myself getting anybody here. Do you?
Nah, this is a complete X off for me. Hopefully Glock has something to give you, yes.
Glock, I mean, that was maybe the shortest explanation I've ever heard. So Glock, I mean, at least take us 20 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kurt mentioned it. He's not a Joel Embiid guy. I am not a Bam Adebayo guy, especially when he's 8.9K. Obviously, when I saw Jimmy was out, I was like, oh, yeah, Miami, Utah, that should be a really up and down, up-tempo game. Utah doesn't play any defense. Miami will be missing their best defender, Jimmy Butler. But you look at all these prices; they're priced up, man. And it's because Miami just has a habit of resting people all the time. So I think DraftKings kind of has them priced to where they need to be in case someone is absent. And, 8.9K, Bam Adebayo. Obviously, he's not going to be owned at this tag. Can be, and Bigs have crushed Utah for sure, but just someone I'm not going to get behind. Tyler Hero, obviously, he's going to be unowned and going to be, the head of the usage person for them. Kyle Lowry at 6.9K is somewhat interesting. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to
5,000 cheaper.
Yeah.
The thing is, like the Detroit Minnesota guys are going to outscore him for a lot less than 6'9".
Yeah.
It's just I want to like these Miami pieces with no Jimmy. I really want to. I can't do it. I don't have anybody there that I like.
Price-wise, it's tough. I will say on FanDuel, they do look a lot better. Bam is only 8.5K on FanDuel. And then Tyler Hero is he's only 7.9K over there. And he's guard and forward eligible. So I like them definitely more on FanDuel. So that's something to keep in mind. And yeah, I think one guy, obviously if we don't have a ton of value, which I think is somewhat interesting, is Mike Conley. Super dusty. Can't believe I'm really saying his name, but he's cheap. And he's played over 30 minutes in 3 games straight. And so, if we don't get any value, he could fit that build somewhat nicely. Obviously, I'm not going to prioritize him, but if you land on him, him and like Jabari Smith, they're kind of the same price tag. I wouldn't mind them, either of them, just because of the price tag and kind of the floor they can give you.
I do want to say about Mike Conley, he's like 79 years old, and he did play 30 minutes last night. So just keep in mind, if you're relying on him, there is and I know nothing. Like, I haven't seen anything about this. I'm just
That's true. Yeah, they did play last night. I'm surprised he's not on the injury report.
I am too. And that's why I'm kind of like, I would not be relying on Mike Conley for the last game on the slate, because if he misses, I don't know, like if he's in your utility spot and you still have $200, you can get to Vanderbilt. I guess you would try and play him in a guard spot and go to Malik Beasley at 100 cheaper. I guess that's the plan. Yeah. I guess that would be the plan, but I would be a little bit careful worrying about Mike Conley. Kurt, is there anybody on the Utah side that you like?
What?
You like for us?
This is just unbelievable. It's like I needed.
I thought that was your internet. Was it my internet?
It was. I don't know. You just look like this.
I heard Crane clear.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
yeah. I think I glitched out.
By the way, this is the oldest trick in the book, guys. When you're not paying attention, you say, "Oh, my internet went out." Sorry, my bad. Kurt, is there anybody on the Utah side that interests you?
Oh God, I can't say there is, honestly. It's just this game just isn't it. If the slate was different, maybe I would consider some of these guys, but no. I'm sorry, guys. I would love to give you more, but I've not really been that great on the Utah guys all year, anyways.
All right. Well, let's.
One thing, Crane, before you move on.
Yep.
I think someone mentioned it in the chat. I think we were talking about the double stud build, right? Like Luka and Embiid. Yeah, Derek Ringering. Luka and Embiid, not too hard to build. And then someone commented and said Giannis and LeBron was the nuts last night. And yeah, I think you hit a good point, because if you think about it, these double stud builds, they're never going to project like a top optimal team does. Obviously when you're projecting a top optimal team, it's going to take median projection into account. And those builds generally tend to be more balanced, or it's going to be one stud and then balanced. The rest of the builds balanced. So I actually don't know if the Luka and Embiid builds are going to be too popular. I just wanted to touch on that comment, because that definitely has me considering it a lot more for sure.
Yeah. And, that's a fun, that would be a fun sweat. If the value gets there, then you just get to sweat the 2 best players. You get the late night game with Embiid. That to me is a fun sweat. So if you want to have a good time on New Year's Eve, I don't hate the idea of rolling with that build. I also want to make sure we roll with our plays of the day. I don't have the graphics because they don't trust me with that. But the Glockton loaded play of the day, who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to just continue to hammer that point. Obviously it's kind of hard to give a surefire play because we're still waiting on a lot of news. But I'm going to go Joel Embiid against OKC on the consensus that Harden is out. I don't think his ownership can get too crazy, because I think a lot of people are going to lock into Luka early and then kind of not be willing to, go so thin with stars and scrubs. So yeah, I'm going to make my play Joel Embiid against Oklahoma City Thunder. Bigs versus OKC is something we've always, hammered. And I'm going to continue to hammer it tonight for sure, especially against the OKC team that literally has no height whatsoever. And Jalen Williams started last game, super foul prone. I don't see how he's gonna, stay safe from the fouls again today, versus Embiid. So give me Joel Embiid.
All right, Kurt, the tanning bed play of the day. Who is it?
All right, so the tanning bed play of the day is Jaden Ivey, but I'm going to give two more I love that aren't going to be extremely high owned, and it's going to be Karis LeVert if Garland is out and Osman's out, and then Shake Milton, obviously. He's going to be higher once we get there, but if you go ahead and just build for it now, he might be happy about it later on because you already have that.
I like the idea. And, in the chat that says, and I threw this up there, Harden is trying to hit the club tonight. Can't risk getting injured. And I'm not going to lie, that sounds like something that James Harden would do. So I think Harden misses, and if he misses, Joel Embiid, sign me up for that as well.
There's clubs in Oklahoma City. Oh, man. Are they good?
There. I used to live there. There are clubs in Oklahoma City. And I will say, the 37X play of the day. That I don't even remember what my play of the day. It is Michigan coming back in the second half. We're down 21-3, but we're coming back, baby. That's my play of the day. I mean, not right now. We're still just getting buried, and TCU has the ball. Kurt was excited, but that's what's going to happen, Kurt.
I'm going to live bet it. I'm going to live bet it. I'll ride with it.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. Beautiful times over here. And guys, thanks for watching us. Check us out on runpuresports.com. We got a lot going on. And this is one of those nights, by the way, if you're a member, you want to be hanging out in the Discord tonight. Obviously, get on your phone. Have a good time. My kid, you can hear him having a good time right now. And it's, we got a lot going on over at Run Pure Sports. We got hockey. We got college football. We got NBA. We got college basketball. Just everything going on. And I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us all year. We get a lot of repeat customers coming in here. And we'd love doing these free shows for you guys. It's a lot of fun for us. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I hope you guys had a great 2022. We're going to have a great 2023 over at Run Pure Sports. So make sure you check us out. For Glock, for Kurt, I don't even have to say it for the producer because I'm the producer today. I'm Eric. We'll catch y'all later. Peace.